UX design principles are absolutely correct. They work for every product. They can be followed blindly. They are exceptionally well crafted for every use case. But did you know there are design principles created by companies like Adobe, Airbnb, IBM, Google, YouTube, you name it, and they have their own design principles that they've created successful products from. There's something that you can even follow, and this old Punit can also learn a lot from them. Well, the first question arises, are UX design principles outdated or not? And the answer is yes and no. While these design principles provide a benchmark to designers to create the best products possible without having to research and test every single aspect of the design principles basically give us a kickstart on what is right from day one. These are studied and scientifically and psychologically proven over many years and sometimes even decades. Almost every beginner is told to go through these design principles and to also apply them to their designs or products. However, this is 2022. We've reached an era where people are interacting with devices differently, they are seeing the world differently, and their actions are derived through real world experiences which are changed so much over the past 2 to 3 years. In fact, I'd go as far as to say that a lot of these design principles need to be updated in order to stand correct in today's environment. I'm just going to pop up some dates here on screen, and you tell me in the comments whether some of these are really outdated. Some of these are way before we were born, way before technology even rose. Apart from that, businesses and the way they need to function and operate have changed threefolds. A couple of years back, it was all about long form content, but now with the whole TikTok revolution coming into play, we are seeing youngsters going towards content which is short form, quick to consume, and easy to access for every single person. There are businesses who are trying to deliver your food to your doorstep in 10 minutes. Domino's is so 2005 with the 30-minute delivery. Zomato wants to do that in 10 minutes. So we're seeing a huge revolution in the world, in the way businesses want to capture a user base, in the way they are taking losses just so that they can create habits in users. We've even seen applications copy themselves blatantly just because something works. It will work for everybody. That is the whole concept. Now, before we move on to the actual segments, comment down below, what do you think, or what is your viewpoint or opinion about these design principles? Do you think they're outdated? How would you change these design principles? Or are you using these design principles in your designs and they're affecting your business, etc.? So in slew of these changes, companies have been working on and updating their own design principles. So now let's dive into that. So first, let's check out Adobe's Spectrum design principle. Some of you might not know, but Adobe has so many products that you can't even name them all. There are some products we don't even know about, or it's not even in the design domain. The Spectrum principles is where it comes. They have three major parent principles. The first one states rational. Spectrum is based on real world situations. Every component, pattern, and principle is informed by research and thoughtful testing. So they're basically saying that every component they're putting into their products comes from real life experiences, things like file management, things like updating applications or installing a new plugin. Everything comes from things that have already existed, like file manager for Windows. So they're actually using whatever we know into their designs. Second is human. Spectrum places consumer needs first. It's deeply committed to a high standard of accessibility, honesty, and respect for user attention. So they're reducing dark patterns in their designs, even though I can argue there are still dark patterns that exist. However, now everything is much more accessible. They are catering to people who might be colorblind. They are catering to people who might only understand text to speech. They are catering to every kind of human being all across the universe. Focused. Spectrum strives to deliver what's needed, when it's needed. No unnecessary decoration, irrelevant content. Now go through Adobe's applications. You will see all their applications being very straightforward and simple. There are no crazy graphics involved, no varying color combinations involved. Typography is simple and straightforward. All their products are simple and easy to use on most parts. Now they've shown some examples of their principles in action. I'm just going to show some examples for all platforms. We believe that people should have a high quality experience. So no matter whether you're using Creative Cloud on the web, Creative Cloud on your desktop or mobile, everything generally scales across different platforms. So they're saying that their UI or UX needs to be platform independent, evolving and transparent. They've shown the example of how the button has evolved and why they've taken this decision. In fact, I did a little post on my Instagram on why we used rounded corners these days. It's a good read, so go through it. But here they're saying that each component needs to evolve over time. A button that worked 10 years ago will not work today. So they've worked on why a rounded button might work for them, and should we round it more or should we round it less? It's just a cute example. This is what is important, even though Adobe is criticized of not listening to their users, which I have taken experience from, built by a community. So what they state is that your design should be focused towards a community. This is something that Figma has been doing. If you want a feature, or if you don't like something in Figma, or in this case Adobe, you can visit their public forums, you can visit their communities, etc., and then put your complaints out, put your issues out, and they will work on it. Great example of this would be initial stages of Adobe XD and how people were demanding for certain things. Good tool for this would be something like user voice, where you can really where you can ask users what they want and what they like about the product. And that is how you can create for masses, because a lot of people might ask for one feature, and then you got to work on that. Of course, I will have the link to this principles page that you can read about these in detail. I think this is really cool and really modern. Now let's move on to Airbnb's design principles. And this is really taken from an article that they came out with under Airbnb design titled The Way We Build. Airbnb focuses more on internal teams and how they work. So here is a little line they have. Here's the simple truth. You can't innovate on products without first innovating the way you build them. So essentially what they're saying is that you need to create a design process internally in the company that will affect the way product goes out to the users. They took out something called DLS, or Design Language System. Basically, in normal terms, it's more or less a nice design system. So here they're focusing mainly on sharing a design language. So when you're creating a design system, make sure that the language is shared. Something designers can understand, marketers and engineers should be able to understand as well. So that is how they collaborate inside their company. They say neglecting design is something that can be a huge hindrance to the design process or to the product. So here they state that workshops are necessary internally in the company. Workshops can help you collaborate, ideate, bring new things to life, sometimes even revolutionize the process. When designers, developers, engineers, marketers, they all come together, builds a system that allows people to interact with each other and come up with something new. So here are one-liners they have: unified, easy piece. Each piece is a part of a greater whole and should contribute positively to the system at scale. There should be no isolated features or outliners. So what the marketing team is doing, designers should know. What the product team is doing, the designers should know. What engineers are doing, designers should know. And vice versa everywhere. Universal. Airbnb is used around the world by a wide global community. Our products and visual languages should be welcoming and accessible. I'm going to put a little image here, which basically says if you design for a small niche of people, you are often designing for everyone. So if you're designing for people with color blindness, it will help out everywhere because it will improve contrast of components. It will help you set a good standard for color and components, etc. Iconic. When you go to Airbnb's website, you know you're on Airbnb's website. When it comes to both design and functionality, our work should speak boldly and clear to this focus. So a bold design is important. A bold language is important. Conversational. Our use of motion breathes life into our product. Allows us to communicate with users in easily understood ways. So when you see an animation or interaction happen on Airbnb's application, you know that it doesn't come from just, oh, it looks good, but also through this principle. In fact, I can bet you that you'll be impressed. Try Airbnb's mobile application and try booking a hotel or a space. The experience is so smooth and so fun to use. Do you know the creator of the World Wide Web, or the internet as we know it? Tim Berners-Lee is probably one of the most celebrated tech people in the world because he invented the internet, or the World Wide Web as we know it, WWW. So he has come up with principles of design over the years, over the evolution of tech and the internet in general. I'm going to read one line. A language which uses fewer basic elements to achieve the same power is simpler. If you are using basic elements and then building over that, that is a more powerful technique than trying to build something beautiful from day one. But he also states that sometimes simplicity is confused with easy to understand. For example, a 2-line solution which uses recursion is a pretty simple, even though some people might find it easier to work through a 10-line solution which avoids recursion. This reminds me of a design principle where it states that it doesn't matter the number of clicks. Reducing the number of clicks is good, but sometimes the user doesn't mind clicking once or twice more as long as the whole process or the user journey is simple and easy to understand, while reassuring him of the guarantee of that solution. Isn't it beautiful? Modular design. When you design a system or a language, then if the features can be broken into relatively loosely bound groups of relatively closely bound features, then that division is a good thing to be made as a part of the design. Modular design is easy to understand. If you're designing a UI, build each section differently. This is something that tools like Webflow allow you to do, but you can do it in Figma or XD, whatever you want. Design a section as if it's its own individual section. For example, the search can be a module. The recommendations or the recommendations can be a module. The categories can be a module. Tolerance. Be liberal in what you require, but conservative in what you do. This is a very nice tip. In fact, if you are a web developer, this is something that they kind of teach you also. This is the expression of the principle which applies pretty well in life and is commonly employed in design across the internet. When browsers are lax about what they expect, the system works better, but also it encourages laxness on the part of web page writers. If the designer has focused on problems and edge cases and how the system reacts to those edge cases from the user's end, from the system's end, from the application's end, there should be tolerance and there should be a common understanding as well. Decentralization. This is a principle of the design of distributed systems, including societies. Web3 nerds will love this. It points out that any single common point which is involved in any operation tends to limit the way the systems scale and produces a single point of complete failure. So if one part of your design fails, all the other parts shouldn't fail. Give importance to one part of the design and then, take a casual approach to all the others. If this fails, everything on top will also start failing. This is something that both design and developers can learn from. So whenever you're designing, it's good to decentralize your points of focus for the user. Of course, there are a bunch of other ones, principle of least power, etc. I want you all to, of course, I'll have a link. You can always check this out in detail. I also really like this principles of Calm Technology. Calm Technology is a really nice company. Technology should require the smallest possible amount of attention. Technology should inform and create calm. Technology should make use of the periphery. Technology should amplify the best of technology and the best of humanity both. So these are just nice one-liners, but you can read them in detail later. UX paradigms by Audi, the company. Personalization. We personalize our service so as to provide each customer with an individual user experience. Habits, needs, individual mobility, personal devices, security. So each Audi car is installed with how the user wants the Audi to function. Does he want Android Play in his car so that he can link with his Android phone? Does he want better music in his car? Does he like a car with better suspension? Does he live in India, Australia, US? Everything is taken into play, and personalization is a core of design. Context. Users can choose individually from a range of different interests, positions, and objectives. Again, kind of like personalization, but then you're taking the need assessment of the user. Details. They are saying attention to detail is important. If a car company says that, it's crucial. Details are not optional. They are a fundamental component of our visual appearance. We apply details such as animations selectively so as to create a high quality, thrilling, and hallmark overall user experience. Isn't that such a lovely two-liner principle that you can work into your designs? Transparency and data protection are very important to the user. Yes. So if you have a website that collects, say, details from the user about his life or about his bank statements or whatever, you need to provide more clarity to where that data is going, to who can see that data. I'm looking at you, Meta, for collecting all our data and just selling it to everyone else. They also say that by clearly communicating the system states, we are able to give the user the opportunity to view all the relevant information. So if internet is unsafe on a certain network, you can give a message to the user. In the event of problems, we notify the user immediately, provide support in solving that problem. This is very important, guys. If you just show the message of, oh, there seems to be a problem, and don't give a solution or don't give a detailed context, then the user will be confused. People keep on asking me about how to design for Web3. Well, this is one of those articles you can read from. Blockchain Design Principles by IBM Design. Design for trust, data exposure, consistency, constant feedback, allow for and anticipate mistakes to be made. Again, Web3 is new, so if people are going to come to it, or NFTs, blockchain, everything is new, so people come to these websites, you should expect them to make a lot of mistakes. Active guidance, provide tutorials, provide guidance, provide security. In fact, there's a whole blockchain design principle article by the lovely people at IBM. They also have these lovely, little flow charts and cartoons created on the website. Also examples of how they tackle certain problems and situations under blockchain itself. Isn't this lovely? So you guys might be wondering, hey Punit, where do you get these design principles from? We want to explore this as well. Well, design principles.design to be exact, is the website where people from different companies come and submit the different design principles from their organizations. They have 195 examples, 1400 plus design principles. Kind of crazy, isn't it? And you guys were stuck on the old ones. And of course, 167 people who have created these design principles from different companies. So I think this is a great way to learn for different things as well, for blockchain, for AR, VR, for example, designing for virtual reality by Google. Isn't that cool? Acceleration, utilization, using scale. These are so cool, and I would love to even spend a weekend doing it myself. I hope you liked this nice design principles video. If you liked it, make sure you hit that like button. Also comment down below which is your favorite design principles till date. Are you using it? What are your opinions, etc, etc. See you every Monday and Thursday, same time, same place. Until next time, take care. God bless.